When it comes to barbecue, you might think of places like Texas, Kansas City, the Carolinas, not Miami. And when you think of Miami, you're definitely not thinking barbecue, but times have changed. So I first discovered HOMETOWN BBQ when we were taking a trip to visit my sister up in New York City. And I always look for barbecue in breweries when I travel, and I came across this place, HOMETOWN BBQ. It was in the middle of nowhere, an industrial area of Brooklyn. And what did I do? I forced everybody there to take an hour-long ferry, hop in an Uber, and then wait in line for another hour before we had some of the most delicious barbecue we've ever had. Fast forward a couple years, and they open a second location of all places, Miami, Florida, an hour south of where I live. I've been there probably a dozen times now. It is literally the best barbecue I've had in Florida. I know, it's all relative, but anyway, some of the best I've ever had, period. And I finally remembered to bring the camera and show you guys what it's like, so let's enjoy. Much like the Brooklyn location, HOMETOWN Miami is very much off the beaten path. It's located in an area known as Allapattah, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, which is a produce distributor hub in the Miami area. When I tell you that they are literally next to, in front of, and beside produce distributors, I'm not exaggerating. There are no other restaurants in the area, there is no foot traffic. This is a destination craft barbecue joint, a couple miles from downtown, a few more miles from the beaches, and next to the neighborhood that's really blossomed known as Wynwood. When you get there, if you think you're lost, you're probably in the right spot. The space itself is beautiful. I think they knocked it out of the park. They preserved the integrity and history of the building it once was, and also completely modernized it with like a Miami barbecue oasis. They also have an open kitchen, a full bar with craft beer, cocktails, natural wines, beautiful, comfortable furniture. It's just a really cool space, both indoors and outdoors.
I'm gonna do a half a pound of moist brisket,
Okay.
half a pound of spare ribs, one sausage link, a piece of cornbread, and a plancha of broccoli,
Okay.
please.
All right, so let's start with the brisket. Beautiful bark, the fat was well rendered, it was super moist, very flavorful. My only knock, and I'm so spoiled by them now, but the appearance itself just was lacking. Normally there is a really pronounced, beautiful red smoke ring, and as you can see from the video, it kind of just has a gray appearance to it. The taste itself was spot on. I want to be 100% about that, but for whatever reason, I know I've seen slices that are prettier before, so I want to keep that real with you because you can see it yourself. All right, so let's talk about my favorite bite of the day, and that was the pork spare ribs. So as you can see, I mean, they are just glistening, and I've put no sauce on these. They have a really nice crust and bark, very peppery, very balanced. You're gonna see a beautiful red smoke ring on the exterior, as I mentioned with the brisket was lacking. And something that I thought about these that was so impressive, they were cooked perfectly. There's a misconception that just completely disintegrating and falling off the bone is like the end all be all. Anybody can achieve that. I like when you bite into it, it pulls apart seamlessly, but also doesn't just completely fall off or break down. You can see here, when I bite into it, it just basically forms my bite mark. That's like the perfect cook on a rib, in my opinion. These were just so delicious, well executed, didn't need anything. We need to talk cornbread. I'm not a huge cornbread person, but this is literally the best cornbread I've ever had in my life, and I kid you not, okay? It's honey butter cornbread. and what they do to it is incredible, okay? It's just such a perfect balance. It's a well-cooked cornbread, a little bit more dense than maybe what you're used to. I got a corner piece, pro tip by the way, so you get extra crust mark. And the honey butter seeps into the bread, and so now you have savory and sweet, and they top it with some flake salt, so you got the sweet salty thing going on. And also you're having these rich salty meats, so the sweetness cuts it. It is literally just the perfect side dish, and in case you can't tell, I am nuts about it, but seriously, you have to get the honey butter cornbread. So continuing with the sides, I also got the plancha broccoli. A plancha is like a flat top, so I love how they cut the broccoli to give it maximum surface area. And look at all the crust and caramelization you get here. They hit it with some chili oil and a poblano crema. This was awesome as well. Definitely highly recommend. And then to round it out, we went with a sausage link, which is made in-house, really flavorful, really well seasoned, a little bit of spice, and something that I really appreciated what they did, they finish it on the grill before you get it, so it just adds to that already snappy casing with some grill marks and char and bite, and it's just really nice. And there's actually some Oaxaca cheese in there, beautifully contrasted, a really, really nice sausage. All right, so before we wrap this up, there's just two things I think are worth sharing. For one, I want to walk you through the menu a little bit because it is super unique. The menu has some of the traditional items that you may find in Central Texas, such as brisket, sausage, and ribs, but it also has some unique items. The owner, Billy Durney, grew up in New York City, and growing up in New York City is a melting pot, and paying homage to his youth, from what I've gathered, you'll see Korean sticky rib tips, char siu baby backs, and even pastrami bacon. They also tie in some of the Miami culture with elote as a side, as well as a yuca bowl, and just some other fun items in general. And lastly, I really want to emphasize, this is authentic smoking, okay? You can see their stacks of hardwood, you can see all of their smokers configured on the balcony in this produce district, sticking out like a sore thumb. You don't get nominated for a James Beard Award and the countless accolades, awards, and attention they've received from doing things in a mediocre fashion. They're really smoking these meats. I've been to some phenomenal places where I've waited in line for hours. They're highly acclaimed, and this place, Hometown BBQ, hangs with the best of them. If you're in Miami or up in New York and Brooklyn, I can't emphasize it enough. Go check it out. Thanks for joining. Hope you enjoyed. I'm Jonathan. Have a great day.